everyone, this is Persephone, and on today's episode of Popular Advice Designed to Ruin Your Life, we are going to talk about how overvalued teams and teamwork and talking to other people is in general. And I say this not as just someone who wants to help you make money and be successful and also make money from my channel, but as someone who has Asperger's. Because this is something I observed on myself and on many other people who have Asperger's as well, that I'm a lone wolf. I've always been, and I prefer working alone because 99% of the times it gives me better results compared to working with someone else. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy working with people who have the same mindset and our cooperation flows effortlessly for the most part, but in the majority of cases, other people are just a drag, they harass you, they contaminate you with their bullshit, and your project fails. Or, if it doesn't fail, it takes 10 times more energy compared to what would have happened if you just did things by yourself. I say this including marriage as well, because I appreciated how much of a luxury it was working by myself before I got married to him, compared to now that pretty much so many things in the house that they could have been very effective had I done them alone. Now I have to explain to another person who comes from a different culture, I was raised by toxic people, and we disagree in pretty much everything. I say this because when you first start in life and you start taking usually unasked advice from other people, they're going to tell you, just join a mastermind group, just announce your goals on Facebook, just find people to work with. Life is a team project. That's crap. There are cases where one person saved the nation, one person changed the history of a country. I say that because despite the popular belief, you don't really need many people to become great. If that's your thing, if you're watching me and you're extroverted, or if you have found an awesome team, by all means keep doing it, okay? This video isn't about people who have it figured out when it comes to other people. This video is about those who feel shame when they prefer doing things alone. And I say that because people have tried to shame me about this so much in my life, that I'm not a team player and that I don't like working with others, and I'm an antisocial autist according to my mother, and I'm a schizoid/schizophrenic according again to my mother, who has finished Royal College of Psychiatry of Mordor, and she can diagnose you in 5 seconds. So I think it's time to give ourselves a break here. And I'm going to tell you exactly why there is an I in win and a we in weakness. There is a reason for that. Thing number 1, find a mastermind group. Let's say you want to start something and you would feel better as part of a community. If your frequency is low, if you are watching me and you are being abused, if you were raised by people in isolation, like semi-prisoner state like me, and you don't have people skills, or you don't judge if someone is a good person or not easily, you're not going to manifest any mastermind group. You're going to manifest exploiters, especially if you are abused and you feel that you need to ask for help. There are plenty of cases where psychiatrists are exploiters, social workers are exploiters, friends are exploiters, and so on. So until you start achieving some things by yourself and feeling better and having more money, I wouldn't recommend any mastermind group. I would recommend working alone or working with maximum 1 or 2 people that you really trust, if you have them. If you don't have them, you are good enough by yourself. Self-determined, self-reliant, self-responsible. Things that our society doesn't teach. Our society wants us to be in a herd. Another thing, when you are in tough situations and there is huge pressure for a mastermind group, is that when you are a nobody, no one of worth wants to work with you. I see this all the time. I used to see it on myself before I came to the internet, that people just wouldn't listen. I used to consider those people snobbish until I became one of them, and now I understand that I don't have time for someone who doesn't have anything to show for it. Like, if someone approaches me and say, hey, I've written this book and I want you to please read it and write a review or something like that, I would give it a shot. Like, I would at least check out the book. I don't have time for a person who is thinking about writing a book and needs a mastermind group. Because I mentioned writing, because for me, writing is one of the most solitary things. That's why I love it. And if you need a mastermind group to write, you don't have true talent for me, and you're not a true writer. You're just an extrovert. At least that's what I think, okay? Just my opinion. So don't approach people who are somebodies in mastermind groups until you have at least one thing finished to show for yourself, an article. a portfolio if you're a model, videos if you're a cam girl, something. Don't just go to people and say, I have this idea, please babysit me. No one has time to babysit you. Grow up. Second thing that is problematic about talking all of your shit you're going to do on Facebook. Usually we attract people similar to us, or we have people holding us down way worse than us. So the best way to make people sabotage you and trying everything they can to make you fail is by announcing what you're going to do on Facebook. When you have friends who have been struggling with their weight for years and you announce you are on a diet, you make them feel bad about themselves. You make them feel that, wow, so she's going on a diet, so wow, I should have been on a diet too, but I don't really want to do it, so what does she want now? Why is she posting all of that junk now? And if you want to see it from a more spiritual viewpoint, you're attracting negativity. If you want to see it from a practical viewpoint, you're going to attract people who are trying to sabotage your diet. So it's better to zip your mouth and talk to no one. Announce your goal after you have succeeded, or you're very, very close to succeeding and they can't have an effect on it anymore. They can't do anything to change the results anymore. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you ask me, name the biggest obstacle in your life out of all of the shit that you have faced, that would be people talking bullshit and trying to talk me out of everything that I want to achieve and telling me all of the reasons why my project would fail. That was so annoying. It happened constantly. It was constantly in my ears, and you don't really have counter arguments to that. For example, my white ex-husband, every time I would mention my writing, he would always say, for every 1,000 writers, less than one succeeds. What makes you think you're going to be that one writer? If I say I'm going to be that one writer, I sound like a narcissist. But even if I have no problem with sounding like a narcissist, I have no guarantee I'm going to be that one writer. So by talking to him and sharing my goal, I just allowed him to bring me down more and more and more. So it's better to just zip your mouth, put down your head and work. And after you have accomplished something, the right people are going to see it, and the right people, they're not going to tell you you're not going to succeed for such and such reasons. If they're also successful, they're going to say, wow, good job. And then you're going to start attracting people worthy of being in a mastermind group. Another thing, especially if you're American, because out of all the countries and the people I've been talking to, Americans have that to an extreme extent, is your friends and the people that usually are around you, they don't necessarily see things the way you see them. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but it's very funny because if you ask people about the same thing, even if it's a simple thing, most people are going to have very opposite, very contradictory beliefs, and you don't get anywhere in life asking for permission and asking for cooperation. You have to trust your own intuition, experiment by yourself, fail, and not go around asking, what should I do, what should I do? Teamwork with the wrong people is going to make your life a disaster. In school, one of the reasons I deeply hated school as someone who had Asperger's is that I had to team up with people I didn't like to do projects I didn't care about. And it was so dumb and so annoying. Even now, it's one of my worst school memories because people just really weren't there, they never did things the way I want them done. And before you say, okay, Persephone, you sound like very arrogant here, and why is your way necessarily the best way? My way is not necessarily the best way. But I say always to people, like I say to Kim, if you weren't prepared to cooperate and to adjust your ways, you shouldn't have been married. Because compromising is one thing, and changing everything to just, please another person is another thing. So if you ask me, I'm very against working with others, and I believe that if you want to do it, it's better to be very selective on who you are working with. You don't need them. Society teaches us to be so dependent for external validation, help, advice, and all of this makes people weak. That's what I think. Society is designed to make us weak and dependent. Because if you constantly feel that you need other people to help you, you need other people to be a team with, you need other people to validate you, and you don't have that, you start feeling inferior, you start feeling depressed, you start thinking that there is something wrong with you. There is so much shaming for the lone wolf type of person that, oh my God, you must be some psychopath, or you must be some kind of creeper who has body bags in the basement, and you're antisocial, you're lacking compared to others. What if you're surrounded by dumb people? Sometimes it happens in life. I don't want to sound like some elitist or some evil eugenicist and the other things they're talking to me, but most of the times I'm surrounded by people whose IQ is very, very low, much lower than mine. I'm not even going to talk about Kim's parents, whose IQ is much lower than everyone else's, and people who have the wrong priorities, in my opinion, and people who just don't want the things that I want. So I'm supposed to work with them to impress people and prove that I have good skills, good social skills, that, oh my God, I'm not schizoid, turning schizophrenic. That's just dumb. If you are in an environment where people are woke, because I've been in such environments as well, working with them, it just happens naturally. But there is no point trying to dumb yourself down to accommodate people who will never catch up. And by those people, if you want me to be specific, I mean my mother. My mother never sees the worth in anything I'm doing unless she sees results, which is what the definition of low IQ for me. When I first started my channel, because yes, she knows about my channel, and yes, she wants to be featured on my channel, and no, she's never going to be featured because I don't feed the narcissist. When I first started, she used to talk all kinds of bad shit. And when one of your friends found out, who has a PhD in social media and marketing and stuff, and he found out that my channel has almost 500,000 views in a year, then she started to appreciate me. Well, I don't want to work with people like that. If you can't see my vision, then it's not going to work out. If you're one of my fans who have Asperger's, it's okay to be antisocial and schizoid and you're still going to be successful. If you're one of the people who are dealing with abuse and you don't have good people around you to lift you, to cooperate with you, to support you, ditch that. You are good enough alone. You can make wonders for yourself working alone. And the world is so full of people. Once you're in a better place, if you feel lonely, you can stop being lonely any moment. Like I said, abundant mentality. I used to feel sometimes that everyone around me is dumb, especially when I met the Kims and when I met the social circle of the Kims. I was thinking, what is wrong with me? Why can't I see things the way they see them? But now, years later, when I'm richer every day and they're broke as jokes and they're just stealing money from me, I realized that it was never me, it was them. Because for me, one very important sign of how successful you are and how smart you are is how much you're capable of managing things, and specifically your life. And I'm not talking about having a bad time in life. It happens to everyone. I'm talking about someone like my mother-in-law that the last 40 years, her life is unmanageable. She's out of control. She's having 21 credit cards. Everyone hates her. Her husband is cheating on her. And that has been going on for half a century. So I'm sorry, you're not smart if it has been going on for half a century, and you'd better tone yourself down. So no, it's not necessary to work with your family. It's not necessary to work with anyone in order to be successful in what you want to do. So to sum this video up, starting today, if there aren't any good people around, you don't need them. You're not going to feel inferior for not needing them. You're going to zip your mouth and stop announcing your goals on Facebook, stop catching up with social media every 3 minutes, stop sharing inspirational quotes, because that attracts negativity and enemies. And you're going to put your head down and work until the goal is achieved. That's about it. That's the way to be successful if you aren't this extrovert social butterfly who needs 50 people around as some kind of cheerleading group or some kind of politician in a campaign. Okay, thank you for watching.